Hey, it's Tyrone Jackson, the Wealthy Investor, and thank you for taking the time out to join me for what I think is another fantastic video series here. And today I'm going to talk about investing for women and how easy it is, and most importantly, how to be a rich woman. You see, my program, The Wealthy Investor, which is in New York City and Los Angeles, is 80% women. Starting in June, you'll be able to join the program online, and I'll walk you through trades every single week that produce guaranteed residual income. Our primary trade is something called covered call writing. But I noticed something very interesting, which prompted me to write something on my blog for at the Huffington Post. I love Arianna Huffington and what she's been able to do, and the Wealthy Investor program, as I said, is actually 80% women, which is really interesting. Of course, there's a special place in my heart for women because I was raised by a single mother who struggled and struggled and struggled. So today, thanks to her sacrifices, I'm happy to have financial freedom, to be financially free, and I help other people do the same thing. Simply open an online brokerage account and start building monthly residual income, investing, trading, and wealth building. So on the Huffington Post, I wrote this story about women and investing. And what was really interesting was the response, which of course was very positive, which led to the creation of this video. You see, in high school, college, and grammar school, we don't get a financial education. That means our wives and our daughters and our sisters, and even as men, we're kind of left out of the wealth game because unless someone shows up in your life and shows you how to build wealth, we simply do the best that we can. So I have a saying in a Wealthy Investor program, which is this: all wealth is taught. So I'm going to teach you a little something about the stock market. And if your desire is to be a rich woman or help a woman in your life become richer, that's what this video is all about. Most people don't realize that you can have access to Wall Street as long as you have a financial education, a brokerage account, and a desire to make a life for yourself that is financially better. You would open an online brokerage account. Do you see where it says Scottrade, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, E-Trade? If you're unfamiliar with investing, all of these places allow you to open an account with as little as $500. And most people don't realize you can own just one share of stock. So I'm going to encourage you, I always say your wealth is in your thinking, which means that how you think about money, there's a direct link of how you think about money and how much money you will manifest. If you want to manifest millions and millions of dollars in this lifetime, guess what? You're in the right place at the right time with the right teacher. Every stock in the stock market has its own ticker symbol. MasterCard's ticker symbol is MA. Now, why am I showing you a chart of MasterCard? And I'm going to show you if you had just bought some shares, let's say 5 years ago, how much they would be worth today. Because MasterCard spends an awful lot of money marketing and targeting their services towards women. Most people think that MasterCard is actually like a credit card. It's not. It's a brand that licenses itself to banks, and your banks issue you a credit card. But imagine if you're a woman and you wanted to be financially empowered. You may know a little something about MasterCard here, not being sexist, but I just want to point that out. And you may want to start investing with what? A company that you're familiar with. Now, in the Wealthy Investor program, I teach people how to pick stocks, and we don't marry them. We just go on a date. So whatever stock we invest in, we're not going to fall in love with it. We're just going to date it. Now, look at this here because this is really interesting. Let's assume less than 5 years ago, you bought 100 shares. You see down here when the stock was around $20, you bought 100 shares with your income tax refund. You decided you were going to change your life just with your income tax refund. You're going to take $2,000 of it and buy some shares in MasterCard. Why? It was something that it's a story that you're familiar with. It's a brand that you're familiar with. And since you tend to use it, you probably want to be an investor in that company. Do you realize if you just bought 100 shares down here when the stock was $20 per share, today, less than 5 years, I'm going to round up here, that $2,000 investment is worth what? $7,400. You see what the stock is today? All right. That's because, remember, all wealth is taught. Keep an open mind because it's all about your mindset. I'm just teaching you something that no one in your family ever taught you before, okay, which is how to play the wealth game. MasterCard has a tremendous amount of what we call top-line revenue growth. And what that does, it puts pressure on the stock when the company's making money to rise. That's the big secret about being wealthy in the stock market. Again, a $2,000 investment, 100 shares purchased down here at $20. Today, worth $7,400. Now, if you wanted to go on vacation, could you sell some of your shares of MasterCard? The answer is yes. You'd be in the process of creating financial freedom for yourself, and you'd be taking profits out of what? Your initial investment down here at $20. But that's not the exciting part. We could do this over and over and over again in the stock market in the process of creating wealth. How do we do this? Look at this. This is a company called Tiffany's. Tiffany spends an awful lot of its annual advertising budget targeting who? Women. Now notice if we had bought shares down here, that kind of be cheating. So I don't want to do this. Again, with our income tax refund, if we just purchased shares of Tiffany's because it was a brand that we're familiar with, that's the key when you first get started at around $30. You see this down here, how the stock was around $30? A $3,000 investment today would be worth $8,600. That's not even 5 years. This is the kind of thing, the stock market, the benefit of owning stocks in a company like Tiffany, ticker symbol is TIF, is we don't need a lot of money. Now, could we have just started with 10 shares or 1 shares? Yes. Wealth is also a feeling. It's a feeling. And so if you start off with just 1 or 2 shares of Tiffany's and they rise, how do you feel? You feel that you're in the game. That feeling creates a discipline, which creates a pattern of wealth building. And you learn, once you get a financial education, how to choose stocks well over and over. So you see, there is no limitation to how wealthy you can truly be as long as you have the desire, which you clearly have because you've been patiently watching this video. I want to show you one more stock because this is a very fascinating story. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and buy these shares tomorrow because you should know a little bit more about the company. But I just want to introduce you to this idea of a brand you may know and the idea of just looking at a picture as a place to start. Here's a brand called Michael Kors. Heavily targeted their services and products and imagery towards women. We always start with a subject that we know when we want to invest in a company. Look at what happened. Now, this is not even a 5-year chart. Here's the really good and exciting news. This is from like January 2012. Imagine you heard Michael Kors was going public and you wanted to own some shares because you actually have some of their products. Again, if you have bought your shares around here when the stock was around 30, that's a $3,000 investment. This company is still building its brand with publicly traded funds. Guess what? Those shares, those 100 shares, are now worth $8,900. Now, let's back up here just for a moment, because to be able to turn $3,000 into $8,900 in less than 5 years, pretty good deal. Now I'm going to show you why there's so much money to be made on Wall Street. What if this investment, you've been investing for a while, what if this were $30,000 because you bought 1,000 shares down here? Today that investment would be worth what? $89,000. That's the power of a financial education. That's the power of becoming financially educated. You see, because you could cash in some of those shares if you needed it to buy a down payment on the house, take a vacation, pay your cable bill, as I always say. Although if you were cashing $89,000, you have a really big cable bill, wouldn't you? Yeah, you'd have all the premium channels. The point is, there's in the stock market just oodles and oodles and oodles of opportunity. Now, in addition to MasterCard, a brand we're familiar with, in addition to Tiffany, in addition to Michael Kors, what if we could take these stocks and we can earn monthly income from them from selling covered calls? See, that's financial empowerment when you have an education. And as I said earlier at the top of the video, in the Wealthy Investor Program, that is our core strategy. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you feel that you learned something from this video and you'd like to get a little bit more of the financial education that's really out there for all of us, I always say, spiritually and emotionally, I connect with the right people at the right place at the right time. If you've watched just a little bit of this video, there's a reason reason for it, right? So I'm going to ask you to think about going to the Wealthy Investor Program and signing up for our absolutely 100% free e-newsletter so that I can send you information and we can start this process of getting you financially educated together. The key to this all is empowerment and changing your mindset and your desire to be financially successful. If there's a woman in your life, if you're a man and there's a woman in your life who you care about and you'd like for her to just be introduced to the concept of getting a financial education, please forward this video to her. I'm sure she will appreciate it. Like the Wealthy Investor page on Facebook, and please sign up for the free Wealthy Investor newsletter so that I can pass on more information to you and show you ways in which you can be empowered, exciting, and build wealth in the stock market, as there are tremendous opportunities out there in the world for us. Thank you so much for watching this video and spending some time with me. This is Tyrone Jackson, the Wealthy Investor, saying, I'll see you soon.